Oh hi. The Republic of Uganda, the state in East Africa, enters the British Commonwealth of Nations. Borders on South Sudan, in the west. In the north, on the Democratic Republic of the Congo, in the south, on Rwanda and Tanzania, in the east, on Kenya. In the southeast it is washed by Lake Victoria. Has no outlet to the sea. On March 1, 1962 Great Britain provided to Uganda self-government, and on October 9, 1962, full independence. Uganda was proclaimed a unitary state, but at the same time 4 kingdoms. Buganda, Bunyoro, Thoro, Ankle. And the territory Busoga received the autonomous status. The government of Uganda. Milton Obote, the party leader, headed the National Congress of Uganda. Since 1963 he held also posts of Ministers of Defense and Foreign Affairs. Buganda Mutes II's king was appointed the President of Uganda. Right after obtaining independence in Uganda there were problems, interethnic collisions, mutinies in armies, Massachusetts departure of Europeans. Obote entered state planning of economy, broadened the state and cooperative sectors. At the beginning of 1966 Obote stripped of power the President King Mutesa, arrested several ministers and appointed himself the President of Uganda. On September 8, 1967 Obote proclaimed Uganda the Republic, abolished all kingdoms and the power of breeding leaders. In the economic sector of Obote carried out nationalization, and in agriculture I created collective farms. For carrying out these reforms of Obote created the militarized National Service of Youth in 1968. In December 1969 at a conference of ruling party of NQ, the Charter of the Ordinary Person, the program of construction of communism in Uganda was announced. In August 1970 officially, the solution of party the National Congress of Uganda set the one-party mode. On January 25, 1971, when Obote was in a foreign trip, the army of Uganda made a revolution. Military dismissed parliament, dispersed local councils in regions of the country. The 45-year-old Major General Idi Amin Dada from the tribe of Akakv. English. The professional military who since 1946 was serving in colonial troops of the British Army and participating in suppression of a revolt of Momo in Kenya became the head of state. In August 1972 Amin announced a course on Ugandization. At first the property of natives of Asia, and then the property of Europeans was confiscated. The persons of the Indian and Pakistani origin living in Uganda not having local nationality, 60,000 people, were expelled from Uganda. Amin made reorientation of foreign policy of Uganda. In 1972 Idi Amin broke off diplomatic relations with Israel. Amin began to be on friendly terms with the Arab states and also with the USSR, from which he began to receive significant financial aid. In 1973 Amin defiantly sent group of Ugandan officers to be involved in the next war of Egypt and Syria against Israel. In 1976 Amin broke off diplomatic relations with Great Britain. In 1972 armed conflicts on the Ugandan and Tanzanian border began. Amin put forward territorial claims to Tanzania and Kenya. In the same time, in 1972-1975, the number of army was tripled, a large number of weapon was purchased. Yes, sir. Because of the increased public expenditures, Amin froze the salary in a public sector, cut off financing of social programs and medicine. The discontent of the population became Massachusetts. Amin developed broad repressions. Among physically destroyed there were both army officers and even ministers. In 1975 Amin appropriated the field marshal's rank, and in 1976 declared himself the lifelong president. In October 1978 Amin's troops intruded in Tanzania. However, the Tanzanian army, armed with the Chinese weapon, expelled aggressors and moved fighting to the territory of Uganda. In March 1979, oppositional to Amin groups created the Front of National Liberation of Uganda. The armed groups of the front began to work together with the Tanzanian army. Amin's troops were broken. In April 1979, the Tanzanian troops occupied the capital of Uganda, and the front created provisional government. In Uganda, race for power was started. In a year, two presidents, by Lula and G. Binay's, were replaced. In May 1980, the power was taken by military junta of the front. It allowed activity in the country of parties, labor unions, public organizations. In December 1980 there took place parliamentary elections. The victory was won by Obote's party, and he became the president of Uganda again. Soon in Uganda, interethnic contradictions became aggravated. The anti-government protests organized by various groups began. The so-called National Army of Resistance led by Museveni developed guerrilla war in the west of the country. In July 1985 a military coup was committed. The military junta headed by the General Basilio Olarochalo came to the power. The parliament was dismissed, the constitution it is suspended. In January 1986 the military junta was overthrown by National Army of Resistance. Museveni declared himself the president of the country. 1986 the movement of the Holy Spirit of Alice Lakvena. 1987 defeat of the movement of the Holy Spirit. Lord's formation of Army of Resistance. The end of the 1980th, the beginning of civil war. 1998 bombing of Sudanese aircraft in connection with the involvement of Uganda into the Second Congolese War. 2002 the world with Sudan. On November 14, 2004 it was reported that the president called a truce with insurgents for a week, which had to begin next day. In August 2005 the parliament voted for change of the constitution to lift limits for the number of presidential terms that allowed Museveni to stand for the third term. On a referendum in July 2005 92.5% supported recovery of multi-party policy, thereby having refused the non-party. In October 2005 the main political rival of Museveni, Kizza Besigye, returned from exile. In the same month other rival of Museveni, Milton Obote, died in South Africa. Elections in February 2006, the first multi-party elections in 25 years, made Museveni the president. February 2006, street collisions of opposition. Supporters of the Colonel Kizza from the Forum for Democratic Changes. With security forces. The President Museveni accused opposition of communications with terrorist groups. On February 18, 2011, the regular presidential elections and parliament took place. As expected, Yoweri Museveni received a majority of votes of voters. 68%. Again. On elections in 2016, the President Museveni with result of 60.62% was re-elected again. In 2021, resident and parliamentary elections in Uganda took place on January 14. The acting head of state Yoweri Museveni was re-elected for the sixth term. On May 12 he took the oath and entered a position. On June 8 the President presented to Parliament the list of members of the new cabinet. Uganda is located in the northwest of the East African Plateau, in the field of the Great African Lakes, generally in a zone of savannas and light forests of a subequatorial belt. The surface of Uganda, the plateau 1500 m high, with separate mountain tops. The Rwenzori array, height is up to 5109 m. The plateau is dismembered by valleys, often boggy. The climate is subequatorial, in the summer damp, softened with considerable height above sea level. Average temperatures of the coldest month of 20 C, warmest 25 C. In vegetation Visicotravni savannas prevail, small massifs of tropical forests remained. The fauna is rich: elephants, hippopotamuses, buffaloes, antelopes, giraffes, lions, leopards, monkeys are found in Uganda. It is a lot of birds and reptiles. Crocodiles, snakes. And also insects. A tsetse fly, a malarial mosquito, etc. In the rivers and lakes there is a lot of fish. Earlier many rhinoceroses were found in Uganda, but as a result of their 20 years civil war didn't remain. The last rhinoceros in the wild nature was noticed in 1983. In 2001 from Kenya 2 rhinoceroses were brought to a zoo of the city of Entebbe. For cultivation of rhinoceroses, the nursery of Nakasongo, to which 4 rhinoceroses were presented, was specially created. In 2009 at one of females in nursery the cub was born. He became the first rhinoceros who was born in Uganda for the last 20 years. Uganda, the authoritative presidential republic where all power is concentrated in the president's hands. Since January 1986, the Lieutenant General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Presidential elections are held each 5 years. The number of terms of presidency isn't limited, according to amendments to the Constitution of 2005. Unicameral Parliament -332 deputies. 215 are chosen universal suffrage for 5-year term, or appointed 104 from various groups. 79 women, 10 soldiers, 5 disabled people, 5 of youth, 5 from labor unions. 13 deputies are appointed on the state position. Political parties are resolved since 2005. The largest party in parliament. 205 deputies. The National Resistance Movement. The head Museveni. Insurgent groups, the largest army of resistance of the Lord work in the country. Armed forces of the country, National Forces of Defense of Uganda. Total number minus 45,000 people, including ground forces and the air force. The general compulsory military service is absent, and armed forces are completed on a contract basis. Uganda is divided into 4 areas including 111 districts and 1 capital district, Kampala. Besides, under the Constitution of Uganda of 1995, the autonomous status of the traditional kingdoms of Buganda, Toro, Bunyoro, Busoga and Rwenyururu, which are operated by local hereditary governors, admits. They represent the parallel management system extending to the southern and central territories of Uganda inhabited by the people Tuebo. Kingdoms have the rights of cultural autonomies. Population minus 34,856,813. A census of 2014. Official English. From the African languages, Luganda is most widespread. The tribe of Ganda, it is used as language of international communication among tribes Tuebo. In the sphere of domestic trade, Swahili language is used. On the basis of languages Tuebo and Arab. Annual gain minus 3.6%. The second place in the world. According to the average forecast, by 2100 the population of the country will make minus 192.5 million people. Birth rate minus 48 for 1000. Fertility minus 6.73 births on the woman. The second place in the world. Infantile mortality minus 64 for 1000. Mortality minus 12 for 1000. Average life expectancy is 52 years at men, women have 54 years. In 2010. Middle age minus 14.8 years. The youngest country. Contamination, a virus of an immunodeficiency. HIV. Minus 6.4%. Assessment for 2010. Urban population minus 13%. In 2008. Ethnic structure. The people Tuebo, only about 70%. Ghana minus 426093 people minus 16.9%. Tunkula minus 2,329,972 people minus 9.5%. Soga minus 2,062,761 people minus 8.4%. Chiga minus 1,679,451 people minus 6.9%. Tujas minus 1,117,243 people minus 4.5%. Minus 667,012 people minus 2.7%. Minus 608,690 people minus 2.4%. Toro minus 606,897 people minus 2.4%. Bafumbaira. Relatives of a Nairund. Minus 488,890 people minus 1.9%. Fair minus 408,738 people minus 1.7%. Mule minus 340,469 people minus 1.7%. Uganda minus 314,598 people minus 1.3%. Nilotsky people live in the north of the country. Only about 30%. Tessa minus 1,566,921 people minus 6.3%. East Sudanese group. Longa minus 1,483,817 people minus 0%. East Sudanese group. Akal minus 1,141,097 people minus 4.7%. East Sudanese group. Logbara minus 1,022,059 people minus 4.1%. Central Nasidansky group. Minus 530,110 people minus 2.1%. East Sudanese group. Adola minus 359,659 people minus 1.4%. East Sudanese group. Nan minus Cod people minus 1.3%. East Sudanese group. Noska Administrative Road Inspectorate minus 296,230 people minus 1.1%. Central Nasidansky group. Minus 258,307 people minus 0%. East Sudanese group. And others. Natural resources. Copper, cobalt, niobium, gold, tungsten, hydraulic power, fertile lands. DDD per capita in 2009 $1.3 thousand. The 204th place in the world. It is lower than the level of poverty, about a third of the population. Main sector of economy. Agriculture. 82% working, 22% of DDD. The main export product coffee. Also tea, cotton, tobacco, a sugar cane, a cassava. Tapioca. Potatoes, corn, a millet, flowers are cultivated. Fishery. The livestock production is developed poorly. Industry. 5% working, 25% of DDD. Sugar, brewing, tobacco, textile. Export $2.9 billion in 2017. Coffee, fish, tea, cotton, flowers, gold. Main buyers. Kenya 17.7%, US 16.7%, Democratic Republic of the Congo 6.6%, Rwanda 6.1%, Italy 4.8%. Import. $4.6 billion in 2017, industrial goods, vehicles, oil products, medicines, grain. Main suppliers. China 17.4%, India 13.4%, EU 12.2%, Kenya 7.9%, Japan 6.4%. The Act enters into the international organization of the countries. The first schools in Uganda were created by missionaries who used the educational system accepted in Great Britain. Now schools are under authority of the state and individuals. It is much more persons interested to study than the number of school places. Over a half of graduates of elementary schools don't pass into high schools, and over a third which left secondary school has no opportunity to continue education. In 1994, the indicator of literacy of adult population was 62%. The Makuru University, the largest and most prestigious educational institution of Uganda, with financial support of Saudi Arabia since 1988 in Bola, the Islamic University works. Gradually, advantage which at receipt in educational institutions males took disappears. In 1991 they made 55% of pupils of elementary schools, 62% averages and 76% higher educational institutions. On a census of 2002 were able to read and write -76% of men and 57% of women. In Kampala since 1908 the Museum of Uganda works. In the Constitution there is no provision on the state religion. As since colonial times the British officials had a kind feeling to Protestants, the last still keep the exclusive status, they are followed by Catholics and Muslims. More than a half of Ugandans profess Christianity. Muslims have smaller political influence. Most of Ugandans is respectful to local traditional beliefs irrespective of whether they consider themselves Muslims or Christians. On a census of 2002, Catholics -41.9%, Protestants -42%, Anglicans -35.9%, Pentecostals from the Assemblies of God and the Church of God -4.6%, Adventists -1.5%. Muslims -12.1%, other beliefs -3.1%, atheists -0.9%. The state broadcasting company Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, Ugandan Broadcasting Corporation, includes TV channels TV, Star TV, Magic TV, radio stations West Nile, Radio, Star FM, Magic 100 FM, Buteba Radio, etc. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.